Now that the Call of Duty World War II post-E3 hype has died down a bit, I wanted to take the time to point out some of the new and returning features you may have missed in this game. Now I'm sure you've seen some other YouTubers do this already, but from what I've seen, everyone only stated the obvious. For example, the final kill cam has been replaced by the play of the game. No offense to the other YouTubers out there, but these are things that everyone would likely notice. So if you're new to my channel, this video will be an indication of the type of content I strive to deliver to my loyal fans. I don't want to be just a similar content creator as every other YouTuber out there. I want to bring the best and most elaborate information that I can. So first off, let's talk about smoke in this game. There's two divisions that get the M18 smoke grenade. However, there's also a basic training perk called Smoked, which will give you an extra lethal item as well as a smoke grenade. So needless to say, having smoke as an option is definitely doable. At this point, smoke looks to be pretty powerful. As far as we know, there's no sight that's able to see through it. And I wasn't able to see red names through the smoke either. The main thing I wanted to point out is the fact that an enemy smoke grenade will cloud up your minimap, which makes it that much more potent. If an entire team uses these for cover, for example, not only will the enemy be blind, but they'll be oblivious to non-silence gunfire due to this effect. I'm hoping that this will result in more usage for this underappreciated tactical item. Next up, character voices. Unless you sat down at E3 and had a nice headset on, chances are you probably didn't notice this. The characters in Call of Duty World War II are extremely vocal. I'm going to show you two examples here. In this first clip, I don't know what caused the enemy to yell like this. He's either trying to avoid dropping a biscuit in the basket or attempting to turn Super Saiyan. Regardless, he screams bloody murder and announces his presence, resulting in his demise. Now in this clip, it involves the controversial female character, and she's particularly vocal. Now to be honest here, I had no idea she was around the corner until she decided to yell out profanity. I'm still not entirely sure what she says. It almost sounds like she says shit and then out, like she's out of ammo. And upon killing me, she proudly proclaims, "Got the bastard." Now speaking of sounds, I had a lot of people ask me if you could hear the enemy reload when they use the M1 Garand. I'm sure everyone knows the sound effect, but if not, it's a metallic ping as the empty clip comes flying out. In this first clip, I clearly die to an enemy who's using it. So as you can tell, you can definitely hear it. It's not muffled or silenced in any way. Now in this next clip, it directly causes the enemy's death. He engages and kills my teammate, but then he reloads, causing the metallic ping to echo so loudly that I can easily pinpoint his direction. It doesn't help that his character also bellows out that he's out of ammo. And by the way, I should also mention that you can reload the M1 Garand at any point in this game. You don't have to fire off all the rounds like in prior games. Next up is a returning feature that was actually introduced in Infinite Warfare, believe it or not. And that's the ability to move around before the match. I know it's not a huge feature, but after having it in Infinite Warfare, it's definitely something you get used to. Being able to swivel around and look at your teammates, or punch your weapon, or whatever it is you want to do just feels right, as opposed to just sitting there and waiting for the countdown, being unable to move. Another small but welcomed returning feature is the map callouts next to the minimap. This will obviously benefit the more competitive players, and be extremely useful for game battles. But even for a solo player, it's nice to call out an enemy position with some accuracy, as opposed to trying to think up a name off the top of your head, and then have no one know what the heck you're referring to. Now one of the biggest changes to sniper rifles is in the form of aim assist. Many people ask me if snipers had such assistance, and the answer is yes and no. The Mountain Division, which is where you'll find the snipers to begin with, comes with the division skill Sharpshooter. This blacks out the surroundings and in return gives you aim assist and enemy names. You can achieve this effect simply by holding your breath. So obviously, anyone using the Mountain Division will have aim assist if they hold their breath. And this is actually a nerf to quickscoping, as quickscopers obviously can't hold their breath to achieve this effect. It also means that if you pick up a sniper off the ground and you're not using the mountain division, you won't have aim assist either, even if you hold your breath. Next up, I wanted to talk about assist points. Now, I currently don't have access to every single Call of Duty game, so my recollection may be a bit hazy here. But the assist points in this game range from +10 all the way up to +80. Someone correct me if I'm wrong here, but I just don't recall seeing +80 assists before in any prior game. If anything, maybe it was in Black Ops 3 or Infinite Warfare. Regardless if this is a new feature or not, it's a welcome addition to the game. There's nothing more frustrating than taking an enemy down next to no health and then have a teammate gank your kill, only to be rewarded with half the score, or sometimes even lower. So watch here as I do a majority of damage to this enemy and then I die to a bouncing Betty. Upon respawning, I receive my first 80-point assist. Then I engage this guy in close quarters combat, but before I get the final bullet in, a friendly sniper blows his head off right in my face, and I get a second 80 assist. So 2 should have been kills for 160 points. That sure beats only getting 25 or 50 points each. Next up, the Scorestreak Meter. I'm not sure if anyone focused enough on this to notice, but the Scorestreak Meter now shows how close you are to each streak at all times. Not only this, it also displays the value of all 3 streaks you have equipped. Now you may be thinking to yourself, big deal, right? But let's take a look at Infinite Warfare for comparison. In this game, you could only see how far away you were from the current score streak. You had no way of telling the cost of the other 2 streaks, nor how many points off you were. And if you recall, Black Ops 3 worked in a similar way. I'm not a big fan of not knowing how close I am until I achieve the first score streak like in those games. So this change is something I personally am happy to see. And speaking of score streaks, there's 2 things I noted in the build of the game I played at E3. First, the flamethrower score streak. I happened to encounter an enemy wielding this streak and I took him out. Much to my surprise, I still only received 50 score for taking him out in domination. Now someone correct me if I'm wrong here again, but in prior Call of Duty games, I could have sworn when you took out an enemy with an equipable score streak like this, you got a bit of a bonus for doing so. It's not a huge deal, I guess, but I'd like to see a bit more reward for eliminating someone who currently has it equipped. The other thing I noticed involved the Recon aircraft, or this game's UAV equivalent. In prior Call of Duty games, only those enemies in the vicinity of your minimap are highlighted. In this game, it appears that even if they're beyond your minimap's range, they'll still be somewhat tagged. It almost reminds me of the 6th Sense perk from Black Ops 3. If this actually works the way I'm interpreting it, it's a huge change and a buff to map awareness. While you may not know exactly where the enemy is if they're too far away, you now at least can tell the general direction. I should note this also seems to hold true for the non-suppressed enemy gunfire. You'll be able to see a linear red bar at the edge of the minimap if someone is using a non-silenced weapon, and they're outside the range of your minimap. The next few changes all involve the new War game mode. It's yet to truly be determined whether or not deaths will count in this mode. When I played the game at E3, they did not count. In fact, it didn't show your deaths at all, only how many kills you had and how much objective you played. If this game mode truly doesn't count your stats, I believe it'll be a success. Now for those of you who didn't play Infinite Warfare, they incorporated a change where party mode games such as Infected and Gun Game did not alter your KD ratio regardless of how badly you did. I'm hoping that Call of Duty World War II goes the same path with this game mode. It's all objective based, so if KD ratio is affected, you know there will be people camping their dicks off to pad their stats. Now with that said, one thing I'm sure you may have seen was that there aren't any score streaks in this mode. Even odder yet, if an objective is met by your teammates, the entire team receives the objective points. I'm hoping that this will be a great mode to level up in because of this. The next thing specific to the war mode is the ability to build and destroy MG42 nests. If you hover yourself near certain windows or lookout points, you can construct an MG42 nest, which gives you access to the powerful MG42 machine gun, or as the Nazis used to call it, Hitler's buzzsaw. This machine gun fires incredibly fast, and is useful for helping aid in certain objectives, such as building bridges. I should note these are not war specific, however. I noticed that they were in Team Deathmatch and even Domination. In these modes though, they were already pre-built. What surprised me most is that no one utilized them during my brief 45 minutes of playing the game. In Team Deathmatch, you get 125 points for getting a kill with one. In Domination, you got 75 points. So that means in non-war game modes, you get 25 extra points for using the MG42 machine gun, in addition to the points you normally achieve for a kill. What I'm not sure about is whether or not these can be destroyed in normal game modes. I don't recall seeing any option to destroy them when I ran by them in Team Deathmatch, but they were freely accessible to both teams. Likewise, I never got close enough in the war game mode to take one of these out either, or to see if an enemy could utilize them. I do recall Michael Condrey saying that they would be destroyable in the war mode at least, so we'll see. Now lastly, there's something called Do or Die mode. I haven't seen anyone talk about this yet. It seems to be a war-specific feature. So the entire point of the war mode is to advance from objective to objective. For example, first you have to capture a headquarters, and then you have to construct a bridge, and so on. When the time runs out for one of these objectives, the bottom of your screen will quickly flash a Do or Die mode, essentially giving you one final attempt at completing the objective. I timed it to last about 2.4 seconds, so it's nice to see they give you that one last chance to finish up, just in case you get caught with your pants down mid-capture with no time left. And that, as they say, is that. Those were the new or returning features that I felt hardly any other YouTubers have covered. But let me know in the comments which feature I covered in this video that impressed you the most. Mine would have to be the plus 80 assist points, or what appears to be the new way the minimap works by showing enemies outside the range of it. Of course, anything is subject to change at this point since we're not even at the beta stage of the game. Regardless, I'd say all of these features are nice additions to the game.